How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So look, it is what it is. It's a Champions League game, Wednesday night, Sporting Lisbon at home. We was in this position last year as well. We can't take these situations for granted. I'm always telling you that. And the reason being is because these cycles don't always come around. And while you're on that train and while you're a part of that cycle, you've got to try and get a few trophies over the line. So yes, a lot of people have been going on about the weekend's game against Bournemouth. It was a terrible game. Like I said, to me, it looked like it was these players never played football together. It was like a new invention that's never been, put to practice before in the entire history of humankind. That's the sort of football that was, being played by Arsenal on Saturday last weekend, and it's unforgivable. It is, but this is a game to try and turn the page and to turn our fortunes. Because look, this week now, Sporting Lisbon and Man City on Sunday is do or die. It's make or break. It could be the defining week of Arteta's future. Arteta could possibly be out of a job at the end of the season, knowing that it won't happen straight away immediately, but knowing if he loses against City and doesn't get a result against Sporting, these two games are the most defining in his history at Arsenal. Over these last 6 years, he's not had a bigger period than this week now. So for him, he's got to try and get that motivation, get that discipline, get every one of those players under the same page, reading from the same book, and he's got to make it happen. Sporting Lisbon, yes, we was in this position last year. We knocked out Real Madrid. Second leg was away. We went there at the Bernabeu 1-2-1. We had a 3-0 advantage. This time we've got a 1-0 advantage, but the positive is obviously we're playing at home now, and we've just got to get the game and do the job, finish it off, get our name into the semis. Again, we'll be playing Atletico or Barcelona, but we'll find that out tonight because obviously they're playing. More than likely it will be Atletico because they've got a 2-0 lead and they're at home tonight on Tuesday. So look, it's huge, it's gigantic, and we've got to put the wrongs right from basically what happened over the weekend. We've surrendered 3 points, also a three goals as in the goal difference as well. We've surrendered that, and now we've got to put it right. We've got to win against Sporting and go again on Sunday. So we'll get into the preview, we'll break it down and see what's what. Now, in terms of Sporting Lisbon, they did win at the weekend. I believe they played on Saturday as well, 1-1-0. It's more or less the same team that played against us. Rui Silva in net. A back four of Fresneda, Quaresma, De Bast and Araujo. And then they've had Hujmland, who was obviously suspended against us, but he will be back for the game with Bragnacca. And then Jenny Catamo, Trincao Pote and Luis Suarez up top. So I think there was a couple of changes there. It wasn't the exact team that played against us last week. Maybe those guys come back into the game against us. I'm not sure. But this is the team, the Luis Suarez and stuff like that. They're the ones that are going to be starting. And, they've got nothing to lose. Sporting Lisbon, from what I've seen this season and past seasons, they're a team that like to go out and play. It's not all about this defensive structure. They like to take risks and stuff like that. But what I seen last week, is more counter. And it was a bit surprising because they don't normally play like that. They like to go on the front foot. And we've been saying this for quite a while. When as soon as a team comes against Arsenal, it's all about, low block, counter, this and that. But we can't make too much of it because Bournemouth did the complete opposite, and they had us camped inside our own half and we couldn't string 2 to 3 to 4 passes together. So look, Sporting more than likely will come out of this game because they've got to get a goal or two. And for us, it's about control, getting back into winning ways and performing, making sure that Saturday's result is over us. And, this is a new path that we're building this week and for the next 4, 5, 6 weeks, whatever is left and remaining for the football season. So that's the team that obviously played at the weekend. I think they won 1-0, like I said. It's going to be similar to what plays plays against us on Wednesday night. Arteta's going to have his press conference at 1:30 today. At the time of recording, it's a bit earlier than that. And I believe we are having an open training session as well, so we'll be able to see the likes of Timber or Saka, Odegaard if they are back and if they are returning. We don't know yet. But look, we don't need to say much more. We don't need to add much more for motivation. It's all on the line. Now, in terms of the head-to-head, I mean, obviously, we did a head-to-head last week, and the only difference is there's been one extra game that's played, and we won 1-0 last week against them. So the last 2 games we've played at their pitch, we won 5-1 last season and 1-0 last week. Prior to that, we drew 1-1 but got knocked out, I think it was on penalties in the Europa League. 2-2 before that, 0-0. We won 1-0, and then the Fairs Cup in the 1960s, won 3-0 and drew 0-0. So we've lost 1, but albeit on penalties. We've never lost a game in 90 minutes against them. But if we was to lose tomorrow, it could again be on penalties if they go on to beat us 1-0 during the 90 minutes, and it stays like that throughout extra time. But for me, we've got to put it right. We've got to go out strong and, play with a bit of emotion as well. Show that we're a bit pissed off. We're after a bit of a fight here. We want to put the wrongs right, and there's literally no room for error. We need to play courageously. We need to play with motivation. We need to be disciplined. We need to show character. We need to show ambition, and more than anything, we need to show a bit of grit and fight. That's what we need on Wednesday and Sunday. So there's no other way to put it. That is as simple as that. Ask any Arsenal fan around the world. That is exactly the performance they're going to want to see on Wednesday night. No more messing about. No more, feeling sorry for yourselves. It's do or die. This is war now. Go out on that battlefield and fucking win that fight. Now, in terms of the lineup, it's as simple as that. We go out with the best team that's possible on paper, and we're not thinking about Sunday too much unless it's the 60th, 70th minute, that sort of thing. So back in net, David Raya. I don't know what he was doing on Saturday. We didn't want to see all this shit, all this, circus of a showing in terms of these passes that he's trying to do. I don't know what it is, man, but recently when we praise a player, they just go out of hands, and it just messes the whole situation up, and they start acting out of character. David Raya, we need you to focus in these next 4 or 5 weeks, because if we're going to be winning any trophies, we need you to be the David Raya of the last 6-7 months. On the right, I really, really wish that Timber is back, because we are really missing him. Ben White, these last few games since that Carabao Cup final, I think one before that as well, has not performed at the level that we need a right-back performing at. I don't know if it was his fault or Madueke's for that first goal, but I'd give it at least 50-50 to both. They didn't even know that player was there when he cut them through with took 4 players out of the game. So if Timber's not playing, for me, it's got to be Mosquera. Mosquera's been starting a lot of games at right-back when Timber's not been playing. I don't know why all of a sudden Ben White's back in that picture. Yes, he's been playing there over the years, but at the minute, Mosquera is a better option than Ben White. Centre-back pairing, Saliba and Gabriel. Gabriel, again, I've got to say, I can see the panic in his eyes, in his body language, in the way he's, passing and trying to kick the ball up forward. He's defending. I can just see it. It's so obvious, and you need to really get a grip. So does Saliba. But they do play. On the left, I'm really wishing that Calafiori's back. If he's not back, I'm hoping it's Hincapie. I can't have Lewis Skelly playing there again. I don't know what it is, but he's fell off a cliff. Who knows? He may play and he may put on a wonder show. In the number 6, do we put Zubimendi back in there, who's been, quite woeful? He's not been great these last couple of months. The last good game he had, I think it was in the Carabao Cup, where he scored that goal and he made a good few crucial passes. But I can't remember a defining gaming moment from him over the last couple of weeks. Same with Declan Rice. I mean, like Roy Keane said last night on the Monday Night Football, he's got to get a grip of himself, and the rest of them do. They do. He said the truth there. They do. They need to sort it out and stop getting that media attention, because that's basically what they're encouraging right now, and it's not great. So for me, does Zubimendi come back in, or do we give it to Norgard? For me, I'm going to give it Norgard. I'm going to take a risk, because if you put Zubimendi there, it's a risk anyway. You need to save these players when they need saving. So I think he needs saving at this moment in time. So it's Norgard for me. Declan Rice has to play, although he's not been at his greatest the last few weeks as well. And then it's Odegaard or Eze or Havertz. Havertz cannot play in that number 10 ever again in an Arsenal shirt. It's out there. The last 3 that we've played with him in that number 10, we've lost every game. Don't forget the Aston Villa game a few years ago, where you put him in the number 10 just to, keep Jesus happy, playing in that striker role, when Havertz has been banging in goals left, right, centre in that centre forward role all season, especially since January. He does that, reverts Havertz back in the 10, and bang, we lose the game. So look, we've not got great memories with Havertz playing that number 10. So no, it's no longer an option for me. It's Odegaard if he's fit. If it's not, then it's Eze. On the right, if Saka's fit, I'm going to throw him straight in. If not, then I'm going to start Dahlmann. In fact, I'm going to give this game to Max Dahlmann. I'm going to just start him. Fuck it. It's about time we take a few risks. Madueke, he's been hot and cold. He's not done it in the last few games. He hasn't. He's created a few chances, but it's not enough. Creating chances is not enough for Arsenal. You need to put the ball in the back of the net. Dahlmann, for me, starts that game. Gyökeres comes back into the centre forward role. And on the left, is it Trossard? Is it Martinelli? Martinelli, for me, again, awful when he gets that start. So it's got to be Trossard. And again, most of our wingers this season have scored like 1 or 2 goals between them since like February or even January. So it's quite an awful telling, but it is what it is. It's the reality side of it. And, something's got to change if we want to win this league. A lot of these players are going to be gone from Arsenal. So if you want a good, a medal around your neck, something that you can look back on history, a Champions League medal, a Premier League medal that you can tell your children about in 10 years' time and whatever. This is the time. This is the time to put your mark and make a mark on history, and you'll be remembered forever. So the prediction for me, I think it's going to be a comfortable victory. I think we are not going to lose this no matter what. I can't see us losing 2 games in a row, especially 4 out of the last 5 in a matter of weeks. For me, I'm going to go for a 3-0 victory. Comprehensive, job done. Make a few changes in the second half. Prepare for Man City on Sunday.